good evening. Welcome along to the PDC Racing League, which is live from Texas Motor Speedway this evening. We've got two races coming up for you over the course of the evening. A shorter 20-minute race followed by a 40-minute race. Currently the drivers are on their practice session ahead of qualifying, will be taking place just after 7:30 here, and currently during this practice session, it's car number 27, Dan Blake, that is quickest by just 100th of a second. It's been really a close session that's coming towards the end now. Here out on Texas Motor Speedway, as you can see on your screen, we're using the shorter infield loop, which is less than a mile long, so it's creates some really close racing here on what is the second event, as I say, for the PDC Racing League, which had their first round last weekend at Oulton Park. And it is Dan Blake that leads the championship, and as I say, he's the driver that's currently quickest in this practice session. Second in the championship is Ian Best, and third is Ben Leach, but Ben Leach won't be racing here, but it is a much bigger grid than we had last time out at Oulton Park. We've had 18 cars out in the practice session, which we can see now. We can see their car number 71, which is Pip Hammond, who didn't compete at Oulton Park. He is currently 10th quickest in this session on a 39.32, and despite being down in 10th place, he's only a quarter of a second off of the quickest driver, Dan Blake. So it's a really close session. As I say, the top 10 separated by less than a quarter of a second, so it should create some really close racing. We are using the Skip Barber Formula 2000 cars for this series, so small single-seater cars weighing just over half a tonne, about 150 brake horsepower from the Dodge 2-litre engines that power these school cars, basically. Skip Barber Racing School, very successful branch in the USA, and a number of IndyCar and NASCAR drivers started their teeth in these cars. On your screens now, we can see there Gavin Johnson, who you can see there the RS component livery on that car. Gavin Johnson currently third in the session. His best lap of 39.11, just 300ths away from Dan Blake, who's no longer quickest, in fact, because Ian Crosby crosses the line there and goes quickest of all, a 39.00 for Crosby to put him ahead of Blake. Third, Selby, now Rick Selby third, and Gavin Johnson fourth, and Mike Hart fifth. So the conditions are changing all the time. I say this is just the conclusion of the practice session before we get into the competitive qualifying session shortly. Here is Ian Crosby, gets a big twitch there, does Crosby, and he goes into the pit lane after that to end his practice session after setting the quickest time of the session on the previous lap at 38.995. So he makes his way into the pit lane as we come into the final minute of practice before the short qualifying session that will follow. Here's Ed Cooper. Notice a number of 750 Motor Club Classic stock hatch drivers competing in this league this evening. Pip Hammond, saw earlier, double champion in that. Ted Cooper always been near the front of the championship, but not yet been able to have the success of the likes of Hammond. He finished third in the championship last season. Did Cooper, who we're watching now, he's 11th in this session, a best lap time of 39.495. So something like half a second away from the quickest lap of the session, which is about to come to an end now. He's lots of curb and some of the run-off on the inside of the corner as well. There was Cooper, and he actually was pretty close to his best lap time that time by 39.51, so only a few hundredths away from his best time in the session. Big slide from the car there that's following, who we're focusing on, Rick Selby, and Selby himself gets a big slide and goes off the road to end the session for Rick Selby. The check flag out then, that's the end of the practice session here on the Texas Motor Speedway on this infield road course that we are using today. So now we await the qualifying session that will be starting shortly. 18 cars then should be taking part in this session. You see the cars preparing for that session now then. And that session got underway, already out to the pit lane quickly to begin the qualifying session. Just a quick, short, sharp 5-minute session this is, but with a short lap you can get your lap times in quite a lot of times in one of the cars across the grass there. We're looking at Cole Hazelton here, the car number 24, regular Porsche racer. And so he had an off, there's a car off the ground there, that was car 42, Cole Jackalert. So it's a pretty action-packed start to this qualifying session for round 3 of the PDC Racing League. So there is car number 11 that has gone quickest, that is Mike Hart. Mike Hart 40.35. There's a bit of time to come yet because we saw low 39s in that practice session, but a good first effort there from Hart. With 18 cars on such a short track, it's hard to find some space, so that's what they'll be trying to do at the moment. So Hart 40.36, Rick Selby's on a 41.14, and Paul Warren a 41.51. So 3 drivers getting a lap time in early during this session. Hart gets a good exit there to the corner and makes a move up on the inside of one of the slower cars. Had a big slide there, and that will lose him momentum on the exit of the corner. We're seeing Crosby here, we got past, but we've got a new quickest time now. That's come from Dan Blake, a 39.71, regular Mazda MX-5 racer. We're watching Blake here now, and we can ride on board with him. The Year 1 racing driver Dan Blake finished 7th in the 5 Club Racing Red Club Mazda MX-5 Championship last season, racing beside coupes prior to that, and Blake currently a quarter of a second quicker than anybody else in this session. Goes quicker still as he crosses the line at 39.554, puts him 4 tenths quicker than Gavin Johnson, but now into second position comes the car of Ian Bailey, car number 49. The Brisker Formula 2 stock car driver Ian Bailey then goes into P2. Gavin Johnson has now been vetted for 3rd position. Gary Bailey moves into P3 at 39.7 for Bailey, at 39.9 for Johnson. Jordan Johnson 5th, he's up on a 40.0. Ian Best 6th on a 40.1. Much like we saw in practice, close time to the already halfway through this qualifying session. Dan Blake goes quicker still as he crosses the line at 39.37. He turns then into turn 1. It's long right-handed sweep. Here's Gavin Johnson, who's just gone 2nd at 39.57 for him, just a couple of attempts away from Dan Blake for Gavin Johnson. Then now we can ride on board with him into the quick S's over the curves, touching the inside of the grass as well for Johnson. So go right, left, and then right again out of the S's through 2, 3, 4, then into the 5 hairpin, quick hairpin that concludes, that brings us on towards the end of the lap. We go through this fast chicane through 7 and 8, and that completes the lap here on the infield course here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Blake goes quicker still at 39.28. Johnson improved slightly, but still a quarter of a second away. So Dan Blake, who leads this series after the 2 races at Alton Park last week, is looking good for pole position here at the Texas Motor Speedway, with Gavin Johnson there in 2nd. Rick Selby comes through in 3rd. Now Ian Bailey 4th, and Jordan Johnson, another MX-5 racer, is in 5th. Let's take a look at Jordan Johnson now, who's thick in traffic. The car that's gone off the road in front of him, he's following Dan Blake. So much like you see him as an MX-5 racer, the 2 MX-5 guys together trying to slipstream one another. Let's see if this is working then for Jordan Johnson, who is in 5th place in 39.63 is his best lap. Coming towards the end of the lap now for Johnson. He's right on the gearbox of Dan Blake throughout the lap has Jordan Johnson, but unable to go quicker. Actually now it comes up on the screen, he has gone quicker. 3rd place then for Jordan Johnson, that did work for him. 39.45, and that puts him just a few hundreds away from Gavin Johnson, who also improved on the most recent of laps. So it's Blake, then Gavin ahead of Jordan Johnson. 4th position is Jackalot, so he's come through. That is Cole Jackalot, who's come through into 4th. Ian Bailey is 5th. We're looking at Ian Best here, car number 13. He's due to start circuit racing sometime this season, and he is running there in 9th position, a best lap of 39.7 for him. But the checkered flag has come out as the session, qualifying session ends. It looks to be Dan Blake then that has got pole position for the first of our races here at the Texas Motor Speedway in this PDC Racing League by a couple of tenths of a second. A 39.22 for Blake it was that puts him on that pole lap, with Gavin Johnson second. Actually, on the final lap of the session, Blake improved further, and he's done a 38.99, which is the quickest lap I think we've seen all day. So Dan Blake, on the last lap of the session, goes quick, and that puts him 4 tenths up on Gavin Johnson, with Jordan Johnson third, Ian Bailey fourth, Cole Jackalot fifth, and Rick Selby in 6th position. So that ends that short, sharp qualifying session. It'll be a 20-minute race that comes up next here in the PDC Racing League. And here is the grid then for round 3 of the PDC Racing League. It's Dan Blake on pole position at 38.994, and he will see Gavin Johnson start alongside him. On row 2, we have Jordan Johnson and Ian Bailey. On row 3, Cole Jackalot and Rick Selby. On row 4, Mike Hart and Gary Bailey. On row 5, we've got Ian Best and Pip Hammond. That's how our top 10 will start, and you see between those top 10 less than a second that separated the 10 of them. Then 11th on the grid will be Ed Cooper, 12th for Jake Banwell, then Alex Hall and Ben Hansey on row 7. And then we have Paul Warren, Ian Crosby, Cole Hazelton and Ian Gribben that completes the 18-car grid at the Texas Motor Speedway, a circuit that was opened in 1996 and has hosted a number of NASCAR and IndyCar races on the oval since then. But here today we are on the much shorter infield course, much more twisty of course, and a pretty technical circuit, fast flowing corners too, as we prepare then for the race to get underway. Dan Blake and Gavin Johnson, who were both there last time out at Oulton Park on the front row of the grid. But newcomer Jordan Johnson, he's qualified well there in 3rd. And alongside him, Ian Bailey, who also a newcomer to the league this weekend. 3 further events coming up after the Texas Motor Speedway: Silverstone, Lime Rock Park and Donington Park, the finale on the 1st of May. Each of these events taking place on Friday evening. And the race then gets underway, so lights out, away they go, and it's a good start from Dan Blake from pole position. Gavin Johnson immediately comes to defend from Jordan Johnson behind him. Everybody into turn 1. Let's see if we can make it through here safely then for the first time in this 20-minute race. No, they haven't. There's a car that's barrel rolled over and over, and there's a car spinning on the exit of turn 1 too, but it was cleanly through for the leaders. So it's Dan Blake that leads Gavin Johnson and Jordan Johnson too. So a couple of cars that have gone missing are Paul Warren and Ian Crosby. So we've lost those 2. You can see they're badly damaged cars already out of the race. Gavin Johnson, though, looking up the inside of Dan Blake, can't go through there. We've got a 4-car breakaway for the lead. The other 2 cars in there are Jordan Johnson and Cole Jackalot. So through the S's to complete lap 1 come the leaders. Gavin Johnson in the slipstream of race leader Dan Blake as they turn their way then through the right-hander. A tighter line taken by Johnson. Can he get alongside Blake here? We ride on board with the race leader Dan Blake. Now we head down in towards the car set. He's now on board with Johnson then in the PDC livery car. The former Porsche 924 champion. Gavin Johnson goes off the road. He's on the grass. Can he get it back on again? He can, but how many positions will he lose? There goes Jordan Johnson. He's into 2nd now. I think Gavin Johnson may well have recovered in 4th, just behind Cole Jackalot, but he may well get that position back into through the S's. They're side by side into there, but no, I think Jackalot's got it, and Mike Hart might have come through too. So Gavin Johnson dropped to 5th. He lost 3 positions then in that era. That means now we've got 2 5 Club Racing MX5 racers up front, Dan Blake and Jordan Johnson. 3rd is Jackalot, 4th is Mike Hart, and then Gavin Johnson recovered in 5th. After that, moving into turn 1. So we're on lap 3 of this race. Now the laps will go through quickly here on this short circuit. A damaged car there, that's Ted Cooper. Looks like it's lost its front wing in all the incident on the opening lap. So Ted Cooper has gained position from his grid position though. So he's in 7th, but he's under pressure there from the car in 8th position, which is Gary Bailey. Bailey trying to get alongside Cooper here, tucking right underneath the gearbox there. Looking one way and the other is Bailey, the oval racer based over at Swaffham, and loses, gains the place and gets ahead of Ted Cooper, but runs out wide. So Cooper fights back then, and the 2 of them are side by side, but I think it's Bailey that's going to get it into the S's. It's really quick through here, so it's brave to go side by side. can't quite make it work, but he might get a better exit as they come then out of that sequence of corners, and he can't quite get alongside there. But it's a great battle this for 7th and 8th positions between Gary Bailey and Ted Cooper. 000 is Bailey, 16 was Cooper. Now we look back to Mike Hart, who is there in 4th position. It's the same order up front when we last saw them. So Dan Blake leads, he's pulling away though. Second is Jordan Johnson, third Cole Jackalot. Then we ride on board with Mike Hart through the S's then. And we come to complete what is lap 4 I think now, so on to lap 5. Sideways into the corner for Hart, and he gets it tucked in nicely up over the curbs on the inside of the corner. And he's about a second or so behind Jackalot, and then he's got Gavin Johnson trying to recover behind him in 5th. Across the line, a new fastest lap for the leader, Dan Blake. He's bettered though by Jackalot in 3rd, a 39.343, 100th of a second quicker than Dan Blake to set the new fastest lap of the race there in 3rd position. And it's Mike Hart in 4th that we watch. He's starting to pull away from the top 3, and Gavin Johnson is trying to bring that gap back down to him. So there's Johnson, the 2017 Porsche 924 champion is Johnson, as he turns his way through the right hander just in front. Looks like there might be a battle on for second now, because Jordan Johnson's been caught by Cole Jackalot, and there they are, and they've come together. Damaged rear wing for Johnson. He got away with it though. Cole Jackalot, who did set the fastest lap last time by, has had a spin and is dropping down the order. So that leaves Dan Blake with an even larger lead. Jordan Johnson then held on to second after that incident. Mike Hart is third and closer once again to Johnson. See how that damaged rear wing will affect him. And then Gavin Johnson in 4th. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th all together here. Heading through. We're focusing our attentions on that damaged car of Jordan Johnson, and you can see getting closer to the back of him in Mike Hart. And a bit further back in 8th position here is Rick Selby. He is being chased by Jake Banwell, so this is the battle for 8th and 9th position. Go back to tighter line there, taken from Selby. We'll look back from his car now to the car of Jake Banwell. Banger racer is Banwell there in 9th position. We're riding on board with Rick Selby, who's not got any real life racing experience, but going well here in 8th position. Out of turn 1, I think it is, we go. And down through the quick S's at 2, 3 and 4, and just getting away in this battle is Rick Selby, about a second or so ahead of James Banwell then. Up ahead, Ted Cooper has got a couple of seconds margin over Selby. Selby will be keen to bring that gap down as we come towards the end of the lap. Here it's about a second, it's side by side because Jordan Johnson's coming under pressure from Mike Hart. Hart's trying to get through here. No, Johnson's struggling with a damaged car now, and through the S's he is holding on. Some good defence there from Johnson to keep Mike Hart at bay. Got Gavin Johnson there in 4th too, and then I think it's a lapped car at the back of this queue. So into the right-hander, we can ride on board then with Gavin Johnson in the PDC Racing liveried car. Through into the S's they come, kicking up the dust, the cars in front as they try to shortcut the corner as much as possible. We complete lap 9 of the race now. Still they've got 14 minutes of it to go. Laps flow through quickly here, well under the curve, both Hart and Johnson there. And is Johnson, is Hart going to challenge Jordan Johnson here into the S's. They go, a tighter line taken by Mike Hart. Now can he get up onto the inside here? No, that's defended by Jordan Johnson, but he's going to run out wide, is he? No, he managed to hold on to it, so there's a great battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th as they battle, though Dan Blake gets further and further away. He's 5 seconds advantage now over this gap battle, but will have to do with that traffic, and that will be a crucial element over the races today. Down then into turn 1, Gavin Johnson looking to the outside, but a tighter line taken by Mike Hart. He tries to get alongside Jordan Johnson, but again can't quite do it, and that gives a better exit to Gavin Johnson. So he's now alongside Mike Hart, and he's well over the curbs there, but he can't make a way through. So it's status quo for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. A very damaged car off the road there that they pass. That doesn't distract the battle for 2nd, which now becomes the battle for the lead, because Dan Blake has had a moment, and that 5-second gap has disappeared. So what was the battle of a second now becomes the battle for the lead. We look back from the leader's car, that's Dan Blake. We look to the car of Jordan Johnson, and and Johnson, who was desperately trying to hold on the second, now sees an opportunity to perhaps challenge for the lead. We've got a 4-car battle between Blake, Johnson, Hart and Johnson in this battle. Then with that 5th car in the queue is a lapped car that had an issue earlier on, but has got the pace of the leaders. Lap traffic not far away from the leaders now. We're on to lap 12 of this race, and Dan Blake be keen to try and extend that margin again that he worked so hard for in the first part of this race. He pulled out that 5-second gap early on before the error, potentially in the traffic, but either way he continues to lead. Didn't get any damage, it would seem. The lap car getting out of the way, so Dan Blake makes his way through okay, and Jordan Johnson hanging on there in second ahead of Mike Hart, and then Gavin Johnson in P4. And we look back now here in 11th position. There's Alex Hall, former classic stock hatch racer, more regularly now seen hill climbing up at Harewood. He runs then in 11th position. He's just behind the car of Ian Best, who's in turn is just behind Jack Banwell. So a good battle here for 9th, 10th and 11th. And looking to the outside is Alex Hall. He couldn't quite make that work, but Best might in turn get past Banwell here. The two of them will run side by side, and no way through quite there for Best just yet, but he has got the inside line for the next corner. And number 13, Best then, is alongside 39, Banwell. Banwell's rear wing looks slightly adrift, so he's obviously had an incident earlier in this race. We're coming up to the halfway stage of now. Here is Jordan Johnson, who's lost 3rd place now then. So Mike Hart's gone through into 2nd, but Johnson's going to try and fight back up the inside. That didn't quite work for him though. So now Mike Hart's got into 2nd. Can he get away? Can he go after the race leader? Gavin Johnson will be keen to get through now his namesake, Jordan Johnson, as they make their way through the S's, back to 3rd and 4th positions. And Jordan Johnson quick through there, so he can fight back. Up the inside of Mike Hart he goes, and he gets 2nd again, which he lost just a few moments ago. And Mike Hart runs out wide, so that might give Gavin Johnson a chance to gain a position here. No, it doesn't quite. He has to back out of it. Still that lapped car sticking with this battle for his 2nd position, and having to defend here is Jordan Johnson, because Mike Hart tries to come back up the inside of him, and he does, and he goes back through, but there's a touch between them. So this means Gavin Johnson's going to be able to get 2 positions in one. He's been sitting behind them for such a long time, and the bit of contact between the two of them has allowed Gavin Johnson to gain both positions, and he's back into 2nd, very good on lap 1. So Gavin Johnson 2nd, now Mike Hart 3rd, 4th is Jordan Johnson. A great battle this is. Race long battle it really has been, and it's been very entertaining indeed. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th make their way out of turn 1 into these fast flowing corners. Can Hart fight back now? So it's a total reversal of what the order was earlier. 2nd is Gavin Johnson, 3rd is Mike Hart, and 4th is Jordan Johnson. They're 2.5 seconds away from the race leader, which is Dan Blake. Too much traffic to worry about for the next few laps, you can see. Lots of curves used by Gavin Johnson. He's the one now giving away the slipstream to those behind. And much later on the brakes there is Mike Hart. He gets the car turned in well though, so he's back on the rear wing of the 2nd place car. Gavin Johnson making his way then out of the S's there, and down towards turn 1 they go, and diving to the outside line comes Mike Hart. Can't really make it round the outside. What you try and do though is tuck it up on the inside line for the following corners, but that didn't quite work. So he darts to the left hand side of the circuit, try and get the best line through the S's, to try and carry as much speed through here and get a slingshot to the next corner. There's Ian Bailey, who's in 5th. He's something like 3 seconds behind that battle we've been watching, working hard to close in on them. So Ian Bailey making his way through there. Car number 49, the Brisker Formula 2 stock car racer Ian Bailey runs in 5th. Here's this battle for 2nd then, a challenge from Mike Hart. He's looking down the inside of Gavin Johnson. He might get it here. Let's see, they're side by side. He's nosing ahead, is Mike Hart for the S's. And can he find his way back into 2nd? He can. So Hart goes 2nd. Gavin Johnson drops back to 3rd. And then Jordan Johnson keeping award, watching brief in 4th. He's got a good run through the S's, so Gavin Johnson might lose a 2nd position here. He does, because up the inside comes Jordan Johnson. They touch wheels there, and that flings Gavin Johnson's car airborne slot for a few moments, and therefore he's going to lose some time. So Mike Hart second, third Jordan Johnson, and fourth is Gavin Johnson. Somebody we haven't seen much is the race leader, and that is Dan Blake, who has pulled out a margin once again. About 3.5 seconds clear of the field is Blake, car number 27. Makes his way then up through the S's once again, and pushing on. Here is the 11th place car, that's Jake Banwell. Alex Hall and Ian Best have both passed him and got away, and Banwell's about to go a lap down here, isn't he? No, this is actually the battle of 11th, sorry. So that's Cole Jacquelet getting up the inside, who had an incident earlier on. He was up high in the pack, wasn't he? But Jacquelet had an incident in recovering and gained the position there, or might be unlapping himself by the looks of things, so trying to gain time nevertheless. An important mileage ahead of the race that will be taking place after this, which will be a longer 40-minute race. We're watching Jake Banwell there, car number 39. Here is the third place car, which is Jordan Johnson. He's about a second away from Mike Hart, about a second ahead of Gavin Johnson. We ride on board then with Jordan Johnson, who's getting closer once again to Mike Hart. They cross the line, complete 21 laps of this race, down into turn 1, late on the brakes Hart, one over the curb is Hart and Johnson 2. Then we exit turn 1, come up to the fast flowing Essex through 2, 3 and 4. Again, lots of curb use here by our onboard camera, Jordan Johnson, and down into the hairpin at 5. It's a potential overtaking opportunity, but Mike Hart has that one line covered. Again, lots of curb used here by both drivers. Then through the second of our Essex, 6, 7 and 8, and complete the lap here on the infield road course at the Texas Motor Speedway, down towards turn 1. This has been the action zone during the course of this race, and into there they go, and no positions gained there they stay as they were. But the fourth place driver, Gavin Johnson, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 38.974 for Johnson, and he, with that lap, catches the back of the second up once more. And we're going to see a challenge here, because Jordan Johnson was looking to the inside of Mike Hart. He was unable, though, to go through, so they stay in the same order. And we're 3/4 of the way through this race, so into the final 5 minutes. And a great run here from Jordan Johnson. He will be able to challenge into turn 1 up the inside of Mike Hart. He goes and gets the car a bit crossed up under braking, and they touch therefore, and a huge incident there for Mike Hart, who rolls over and over, and he's trying to continue, but surely the car there will be significantly damaged. So that has changed out of a second once again. Gavin Johnson once more, with the drivers in front having an incident, moves back into second. Jordan Johnson's car is continuing for now, but he might have some damage after that incident. Wheel-to-wheel contact with Mike Hart. So he continues to run third, but he's now under pressure from Ian Bailey, who has caught them. Bailey, who's had a pretty lonely race throughout the course of it, is now involved in this battle with Jordan Johnson for third position. Going around the outside, one of the slower cars there. They negotiate that one successfully. A bit wide, perhaps, for Bailey, but he's got past it nevertheless. And he will chase the Johnsons through the Essex. Car off on the right-hand side of the circuit. There we look back here at Ted Cooper, who is in 7th. He is under pressure now from Ian Best. So this is the battle for 7th and 8th positions. They've got Cole Jacquelet there trying to make his way through. He's a lap or 2 down after incidents earlier in the race, so Ted Cooper doesn't need to battle with him necessarily, but he is using that car as a bit of a buffer to Ian Best. We look back then from the car of Cooper. Come up to the last few minutes of this race. Cooper, much like PDC Racing, they use their Vauxhall Novas in the Classic Stock Catch Championship, where Cooper's been racing for well over a decade now. And he's got a lap car trying to come through of Jacquelet, and he will do so, I think, into the S's. So that means no longer does Cooper have a cushion between him and Ian Best. Meanwhile, there's been a change for third, because Ian Bailey has gone through with the fastest lap of the race to move ahead of Jordan Johnson. So Jordan Johnson drops to 4th behind Ian Bailey, but he's got a good run here. He's going to try and fight back, is Johnson. Right underneath the rear wing of Ian Bailey as they go through the S's and down towards turn 5, and he dives to the inside, does Johnson, to try and get this position back. And will he do so? The two cars almost overlapping here, but a better exit to the corner for Ian Bailey means he hangs on to 3rd place. A couple of minutes to go, so they should get a further 3 or so laps into this. So this battle's certainly not over yet. There's a lapped car right behind this battle. They're not far behind Gavin Johnson's 2nd, 3rd and 4th, pretty much still together. They go once more at 2, 3 and 4, and then down towards the hairpin at 5, and looking to the inside there was Johnson. Meanwhile, we look back at the battle for 7th and 8th, because there's been a change there. Ian Best has got past Ted Cooper, so a change in that battle for 7th and 8th. Captain them is Alex Hall, so this will be a 3-car battle by the looks of things before the end of the race. You see in the background there, Alex Hall getting closer and closer to this battle. There is Hall then, making his way down into turn 1, so they complete another lap. With Hall then, who is on the curb, looking grass on the inside of the corner, but that gets the car out of shape. He saves it and continues on onto the S again, using lots of the road on the inside of the corner. 9th position it is for Alex Hall. Accelerates down into turn 5, I think that is. But here is our leader, Dan Blake, who is shortly going to head on to his final lap of the race. Nearly 6 seconds clear. We had that error in the middle of the race, didn't he, where he lost a bit of time, but he's had a strong run since. In the battle of a second, it's thick in traffic, so this could all change on to the last lap of the race. It's Gavin Johnson who's got him, but right on board of Ian Bailey, right underneath the car, the rear wing of the car of Gavin Johnson. He's going through, I think. So Ian Bailey, who was having a lonely race early on, may get into 2nd, and he does so as they go on to this last lap of the race. They're side by side behind between the two Johnsons. That's Gavin and Jordan. Gavin Johnson just about hanging on there ahead of Jordan Johnson, but into 2nd place goes Ian Bailey as they now come up across the line. So now they go on to their final lap of the race, and Gavin Johnson gets caught behind a back marker there. So that allows Jordan Johnson to go through into 3rd place, or does it? Because Gavin now is fighting back there side by side behind that lapped car. They come up towards the S's. Johnson's on the inside, but has to back out of that move, and therefore Jordan Johnson goes back into 3rd. So, but an incident, and now going backwards is Jordan Johnson, and spinning and tagging Gavin Johnson, who looks to the rear left corner off the car. So it's been an eventful race for Jordan Johnson. While that's all been going on, Dan Blake has taken the flag. He's won the race, so congratulations to Dan Blake. A very eventful race in the 3rd round of the PDC Racing League. 2nd place was Ian Bailey, a good run for him. Gavin Johnson on 3 wheels made it home to 3rd, and we're waiting now. Across the line comes Jordan Johnson, he takes 4th. Gary Bailey comes home 5th, 6th for Rick Selby, 7th should be Ian Best, 8th for Ted Cooper, and 9th for Alex Hall, and they were all the cars on the lead lap. And just coming up across the line, not seeing this on the screen, Alex Hall just pipped Ted Cooper by 0.02 of a second. So Alex Hall there just getting 8th position on the race to the line ahead of Ted Cooper. In 10th position, a lap down with Jake Banwell, 11th was Mike Hart, and 12th for Ian Crosby. And here are the results of the PDC Racing League. Dan Blake taking the victory in car number 27 by nearly 8 seconds over Ian Bailey. 3rd was Gavin Johnson after that incident with Jordan Johnson on the final lap of the race very dramatically. In 5th was Gary Bailey, 6th was Rick Selby, 7th Ian Best, 8th was Alex Hall on that race to the line beating Ted Cooper. In 10th was Jake Banwell, 11th Mike Hart. These drivers a lap or more down. In 12th Ian Crosby, 13th was Ian Gribbin, 14th Paul Warren, 15th Cole Jackalette, 16th was Pip Hammond, 17th Cole Hazelton, and Ben Hansey retiring on lap 1 of the race. But a very dramatic race to open the day here on the Texas Motor Speedway for the PDC Racing League. So now we take a deep breath before the 2nd race of the evening, round 4 of the league, coming up here on the Texas Motor Speedway. A longer race, this will be a 40-minute encounter. welcome back to the PDC Racing League here at Texas Motor Speedway after that breathless action we had from round 3 of the championship. A short practice session is currently ongoing ahead of round 4, and so we will have qualifying for that in a few moments. A longer race, round 4, will be 40 minutes, and if it's anything like that earlier race, it's going to be action-packed for sure. And qualifying all important coming up in a few moments, so a chance for drivers to just get their head back into qualifying mode rather than the race and battling that they had a few moments ago. So got a few minutes left of this practice session before we move into qualifying here on this infield road course at the Texas Motor Speedway, a venue that was opened 24 years ago, and on the oval it's hosted both NASCAR and IndyCar races. NASCAR gets a couple of races here a season, whereas IndyCar has a 600-mile race every season on the Texas Motor Speedway, but due to the infield road course, as I say today, less than a mile long it is. We're looking here at Gavin Johnson, who is currently quickest in the practice session with the RS components livery on the car, who are partners of PDC Racing, and along with PDC they work together to help get young people engaged and inspired to work in science, technology, engineering and maths. And PDC Racing regularly take their race cars to schools, and they will be doing so again this year. Gavin Johnson moving into the historic Sports Car Club 70s Road Sports Series in 2020 when racing resumes in a Porsche 924, and you can look at other videos on the PDC Racing YouTube page all about that car. Here we now look at Ian Bailey as we come towards the end of this session. Getting very sideways indeed. Bailey, the former Formula 2 stock car racer. He's currently 3rd in this practice session. It's Cole Jacquelet that's gone quickest now. Though he had done until Bailey crossed the line and went quicker still, a 39.71. But the practice session coming to an end, and therefore we shall move into qualifying. So qualifying getting underway for round 4 of the PDC Racing League here at the Texas Motor Speedway on the infield road course. And everybody dives out the pit lane to begin what is a longer qualifying session than the previous one, 10 minutes, so plenty of time to get your lap times in. This time we had 18 cars compete in the earlier session, in the earlier race, and there were incident aplenty, there were loads of battles as well, and it was a really close lap time, so all important to do well during this qualifying session that is now underway. We're watching the car of Ian Bailey as he heads through the right-hander that begins the lap. And onto the first flying lap of the session they go then. We can ride on board with him, heading down into turn 5, I think this is. First lap of time the session comes in from Jake Banwell at 41.8, so he set the initial time, and that will be beaten during the course of this session. Up over the curbs comes Bailey as he concludes his lap, and the car in front of him goes off the road, but he should try not to let that distract him. It turns into turn 5 well, over the curbs on the second apex of the corner, accelerated to the chicane that concludes the lap. Bailey's lap time appears, and he goes quickest at 39.52. That's a good first effort from Bailey. That's 6 tenths quicker than Jordan Johnson, who he is following. Here it's Gavin Johnson then, who had that incident on the final lap of the earlier race. He comes up across the line, and this is him to start a new lap for Gavin Johnson then, as he accelerates up to turn 2 off the road. There's Pip Hammond, the double Classic Stock Catch champion, actually won the championship when it used to be called Stock Catch Class B. It was that long ago that Pip Hammond had a full season in the championship. 2009 and 2011, Pip Hammond took that car to the championship, but he's made appearances ever since and won many races, particularly at Cadwell Park. He's also won the Porsche 924 championship a few years ago, and last year raced in the Club Enduro Championship with Gavin Johnson in a Porsche Boxing. They finished second in their class. So here's Pip Hammond then in his familiar number 71, familiar livery he's using on the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car, as Ian Bailey crosses the line and goes quickest. So a new quickest lap of the session for Ian Bailey, a 49.47. That's just over half a tenth quicker than Cole Jacquelet. Third is Jordan Johnson. Gavin Johnson is fourth, and Ian Crosby is fifth. No longer though, because Pip Hammond completes his lap. He goes P5, so 40.1 for Hammond, something like 7/10 of a second away from pole, which is currently Ian Bailey's. Here's Ted Cooper, another classic Stock Catch regular. Big twitch there coming out of the chicane to complete the lap. Ninth quickest it is for Cooper. Let's ride on forward then through turn 1 and out of, there we go, up towards the S's 2, 3 and 4 for Ted Cooper. Actually that was through 6 and 7 and 8, wasn't it? So this is the start of that. Into turn 1 for Ted Cooper, so familiarising herself with this circuit. So through turn 1 goes Cooper, now into 2, 3 and 4. She starts this new lap, moves up into 8 now at 40.38. So through the S's, through 2, 3 and 4 he goes, gets a bit of a slide on there, but controls it well. And then down into the hairpin at 5. He uses lots of lock there to get the car turned into the apex of the corner. Then he runs that bit wide, so loses a bit of momentum off the corner. Then into the chicane and through 6, 7 and 8 that concludes the lap, and Ted Cooper crosses the line and improves, goes up to 7th on a 40.112, which puts him just 200th of a second ahead of Pip Hammond. Understeering out wide though as he starts a new lap is Cooper. Here is Ian Best, who is currently 11th on a 40.63. And he goes then through the S's and down into turn 5 and 6 hairpin. Car number 13. Tight line through there. Meanwhile, we had a new quickest lap of the session from Ian Bailey, I noticed, a 49.24 for him, puts him nearly 3 tenths up on the rest, or it did until Rick Selby improved. Selby just 0.04 of a second slower than Bailey. Ian Crosby comes across the line, he goes 3rd. Here he is on the screens now. We've got a slightly smaller grid for this second race, just 11 cars having set a time in this qualifying session so far. We've already had half of it. Crosby really getting the car sideways there through the S's, trying to carry as much speed through that corner as possible. Car number 48, we ride on board with him now, and he's running in 3rd place at 39.467. Can he improve on this lap? He comes through the chicane to complete the lap here, and he crosses the line, and he improves but actually loses the place because Gavin Johnson goes faster. Crosby improved to a 39.349, with just 1,000th of a second off of Gavin Johnson, so super close times there, and it's just a 10th of a second separating the top 4, Bailey, Selby, Johnson and Crosby, just a 10th of a second apart. Cole Jacquelet is 5th, Jordan Johnson 6th, Ian Best 7th, and then Bailey, Banwell, Cooper and Hammond complete the 11 runners, and the 11 cars all separated by less than 9 tenths of a second. So despite not having quite the full complement in this race, it's very close indeed between them. The one car we have appeared to have lost is Dan Blake, who was our winner of the earlier race, so that's a shame for him. Meanwhile, we look here at Cole Hazelton, who hasn't set a lap yet, so we are going to have more than 11 out there. Car number 24 then, Cole Hazelton, entering the session late, over the curbs and up over the dirt on the inside of the road for Hazelton. Looking at him starting a flying lap. But here's Gavin Johnson across the line. He's 4th quickest into turn 1. Up over the curve, there's a bit of an instant ahead of him, and that is going to compromise Johnson's lap for sure. He had to get out of it and move to the left-hand side of the circuit to get himself into the end. He's got to 6th now, in fact, because there's improvements across the board. Jacqueline and Bailey almost setting identical laps, go 2nd and 3rd. So both improving and doing the same sort of lap time to go 2nd and 3rd behind Ian Crosby. Here's Johnson Hammond, then the 2 teammates at PDC Racing, who raced that Porsche Boxer last year in the Club Enduro Championship. Pip Hammond getting a slipstream off of Gavin Johnson down to turn 1. Very close to run into the back of him. Johnson didn't improve on the last lap, and I think Hammond's fresh from the pit lane, so starts a new lap here. On board then, we can go with Pip Hammond, the double classic stock catch champion. Getting used to these single-seater race cars, hops up over the curves. And that's potentially not ideal in these cars. Meanwhile, Ian Bailey's just set the fastest lap of the session. I think that's the fastest lap we've seen of the day, at 38.986, which puts him 1200 of a second clear of the field. Meanwhile, what can Pip Hammond and Gavin Johnson do as they conclude the lap? The car comes out the pits unhelpfully for them, and the pair do not improve that time by. So Johnson and Hammond stay 6th and 11th respectively. Hammond gets a big slide on there off over the curve on the inside of the circuit. He ends up, he backs out of that to let the car behind through. Here's Gary Bailey, who's currently 7th. He's just improved with a 39.482. That puts him 0.03 of a second ahead of Jordan Johnson, who went so well in that earlier race. He's down there in 8th. So Gary Bailey then turns his way through another lap. Car number 49, the former Brisker stock car driver. Here's Ian Crosby, who is 2nd, turning into turn 1 then for Crosby. Pip Hammond flies over the top of him and has a massive roll, does Hammond, and the car's still going over and over. That's ruined Crosby's lap to try and go for pole. There's Hammond, and the car's finally come to a stop upside down. So that was quite dramatic. So the carnage just began at the end of qualifying for this second race of the day, the 4th round of the PDC Racing League. Crosby, though, as I was saying, he is a hill climb racer with Alex Hall up at Harewood, and going well here, 2nd in the session before he was taken out by Pip Hammond. Here's Rick Selby, who is 3rd as the qualifying session comes to the end. So checkered flag out. Can Crosby can Selby improve on this final lap of the session? He comes up across the line. Not yet. He's got to do the hairpin through 5 and 6 first, and then through the chicane to complete the lap. Then we shall see if Selby can improve on this final lap of the session. And across the line he comes, and it was a slightly slower lap, just a couple of hundredths of a second away. Well, they're saying that as a timing screen update. So Selby does improve. He goes 2nd, so a 39.09. Selby then improved on the last lap to go 2nd. But it's Ian Bailey that will start from pole position for the second race of the evening here at the Texas Motor Speedway. So Ian Bailey then set to start on pole position as everyone shall prepare for round 4 of the championship. And here, Ian, is the grid for the PDC Racing League round 4. On front row then is Ian Bailey and Rick Selby. On row 2, Ian Crosby and Cole Jacqueline. On row 3, Gavin Johnson and Ian Best. Row 4 for Gary Bailey and Jordan Johnson. Row 5 for Jake Banwell and Ted Cooper. Row 6 for Pip Hammond. And then the following drivers didn't set a lap in qualifying, so we shall see if they are there. That will be Cole Hazelton, Alex Hall, Paul Warren. So there's 14 drivers on the screens. We shall see how many cars take the start, because just 11 cars set a lap time in that qualification session. So this a longer race, 40 minutes for round 4. So a race of stamina and keeping your head down throughout the course of this race, because 40 minutes around here, pretty hard to keep focus. So we shall see how this race goes, and we are set to see a different winner, because Dan Blake unable to take part in this race, which we get in underway shortly then. So Bailey and Selby on row 1, Crosby and Jacquelet on row 2, and then the best of the circuit races there, Gavin Johnson in 3rd on the grid, 5th on the grid on the 3rd row alongside Ian Best, Gary Bailey, Jordan Johnson at row 4. So waiting for this race to begin on the infield course at Texas Motor Speedway, 0.87 of a mile around this short course, but it's proved to have some pretty entertaining racing earlier on this evening, so let's hope we have similar here. Seeing some close qualifying sessions. And we short delay then before this race gets underway. Which it does so now, so away we go, lights out and down towards turn 1 they go, and it's 49 then of Ian Bailey that leads into turn 1, and kind of a 6 there in 2nd. That's Rick Selby, but he's under pressure and losing the position there is Selby. A good start from Gavin Johnson too, he's following through, but there's contact and off goes the car that made the good start. I think that was 48 Ian Crosby. So that's changed the order somewhat. There's cars going off everywhere, wheels go flying, but at the end of lap 1 it is Ian Bailey, I think, that's going to lead from Gavin Johnson, with Cole Jacquelet in 3rd position. So it's Bailey that leads, yes, at the end of lap 1. 2nd is Johnson, 3rd Jacquelet, 4th is Jake Banwell, 5th is Jordan Johnson, 6th is Ian Best, 7th is Ted Cooper. He's in the pit lane, so I think everybody else went off in that incident. We just got 6 cars that made it through safely. Side by side, the near tangle there in front of Ian Best. That was Jordan Johnson getting passed, I think, by Jake Banwell. I think very close, nearly came into contact, but I think they got away with it. And Johnson here dives up the inside. He's going to get 4th position then, away from Jake Banwell. So nice move from Johnson. We saw lots of pace from him earlier. Running down in 4th here, let's see what he can do as we head down in towards the exit. You can see to the left hand side there on the screen some of the damaged cars smouldering away. Ian Best now is going to challenge up the inside of Jake Banwell, who brakes very, very late. He locks up and he clockers the car of Jordan Johnson, so he goes round. This is a long race, but you wouldn't have known it by the way the first couple of laps have gone. You've done very well if you've managed to survive it without any kind of damage. It's Ian Bailey that leads. In 2nd is Gavin Johnson. We're looking at Ted Cooper here, who is the first of the drivers recovered from the lap 1 incident. He is in 7th place. Alex Hall is in 8th. We didn't see him qualify, but he's managed to get out there for the race. 9th is Cole Hazelton. Jake Banwell now for the pit lane. So he, we saw having that moment where he locked up and went off. Here's Cole Jacquelet. He's in 3rd. Top 3 will manage to get away with those shenanigans earlier, and it's Bailey from Johnson, nose to tail pretty much for the lead. Let's look at that. Here's Gavin Johnson then in 2nd place. On board we can go then with Johnson as we head into turn 5 and 6 is this, coming towards, yes, the end of the lap then, through the chicane to complete lap 4 of the race. About 3/4 of a second between the top 2. They head down in towards turn 1. Traffic to deal with, so up the inside of it goes Ian Bailey. Johnson is quite close enough to do similar. That slower car gets a good exit to the corner. Of course, might have more pace than in lap would suggest. He also left Gavin Johnson through. Johnson dives up the inside into the S's. In 3rd position, Cole Jacquelet not that far away. It's just a couple of seconds separating our top 3 onto lap 5 of this motor race. Coming up towards the chicane then, through the fast left-right. And just kicking up the dust there on the inside of the corner, both of our leaders across the line then. 7/10 of a second is the gap at the end of 5 laps. A slightly quicker lap from Johnson, 39.8. We're right on board with him then. Lots of lock-on as a bit of understeer creeps in there through turn 1. Then up towards the S's we go at 2, 3 and 4. Over the curbs on the inside of the corner. Try not to cut it too much, because then end up dragging dirt onto your tyres. Into 5, bit of opposite lock turning into the corner for Johnson, but then the oversteer turns into understeer. But Johnson controls that, and I think he's getting closer still to Ian Bailey then as they come out of the chicane to complete lap 6 of the race. and up across the line they come. And yes, it is a quicker lap from both of them, in fact. A PB from Johnson, but a quicker lap from Bailey. It was in the end of 39.2 to Johnson's 39.3. They're pulling away now from Cole Jacquelet, who's dropped 4 or so seconds. Ian Best is 4th, Jordan Johnson 5th, Ted Cooper in 6th, Alex Hall in 7th, and Cole Hazelton has had an issue and he's dropped to 8th. Nose to tail here for the lead of the race. Gavin Johnson on the tail then of Ian Bailey. Bailey, the British Formula 2 stock car racer. Gavin Johnson moving into historic racing this season. 70 Road Sports Championship with the Historic Sports Car Club. Previous success, though, he's had the Porsche 924s with the British Racing and Sports Car Club in the BRCC Porsche Championship. The 924 champion, Gavin Johnson, was in 2018. Here he is then, turning through, but now we look back to Alex Hall, who was unable to qualify, but is out there for the race in car number 64, 7th position for Hall, and he's got a car, I think he's lapping there. That is the car of Gary Bailey, I think that Hall's trying to lap, and unable to do so for the moment. He's, what, 4 seconds behind Ted Cooper, and a much bigger margin ahead of Cole Hazelton, so also battling with the back marker for fun rather than anything else. Here's Paul Warren. He's ex-Oval racer turned 750 Motor Club racer in recent years. He acquired the ex-Hot Hatch Championship winning car of Paul Jarvis and was racing that in Hot Hatch with the 750 Motor Club last season. Got his best result of the season right at the end of last year at Silverstone, where he finished 6th within Class C. And racing resumes, I expect Paul Warren to be back in the little Citroen Saxo there. Here's the leader though, this is Ian Bailey, who's just putting out a bit of a gap now from Gavin Johnson. So the stock car racer leading the way into the S as they turn on lap 10 of this race. We've had 6 minutes of it, we're going to get something like 60 laps throughout this race. So a bit of a race of survival it turns into pretty early on. So now they're trying to settle down into a rhythm and good pace being shown from Ian Bailey. A best lap of 39.38, which is not the fastest lap of the race. That has gone the way of Cole Jacquelet, who is there in 3rd position. Or it had until Gavin Johnson completed lap 10. It went quicker, but Jacquelet went faster still. So everybody improving now. Johnson a 39.1, but a 39.0 for Jacquelet. But he's got some time to catch, over 3 seconds behind the 2 leaders. Here's Ian Best, he is 4th. He has a lapped car just up ahead of him, the car of Jake Banwell. Best is about 3 seconds behind Jacquelet and that similar gap ahead of Jordan Johnson. We can ride on board with him though, going through the turn 5 and 6 that was, before 7 and 8 the chicane that completes the lap. Trying to put a lap now on Banwell into turn 1. Up the inside of the banger racer, Jake Banwell. Best goes. Ian Best, who's been a part of the PDC Racing pit crew, coming through races last season. They're looking to move himself into circuit racing this year. He comes up to head into turn 5. Not yet, he hasn't been able to find a way past Banwell. He is running in 9th position. Behind Best and starting to close them in is Jordan Johnson, the MX5 racer. He was a winner in the 5 Club Series last season and finished 3rd in the championship. And Jordan Johnson has got Pip Hammond, I think, behind him, not battling for position. Hammond a lap or 2 down, and he hits Jordan Johnson. So that's not gone terribly well for Pip Hammond, and Jordan Johnson's car, a rear wing, falls off in the process. So not ideal driving there for Pip Hammond, who's fair to say going less well on iRacing than he does in real life. Here's Ted Cooper, who is in 6th place. Another of our classic stock hatch racers racing today. He is there, as I say, in P6. He's about 6 seconds behind Johnson, who we know now has a damaged car. And there goes Cooper under steering wide out over the curves. Well, he gathers it back together. He's a couple of seconds ahead of Alex Hall, so can Hall catch Cooper here? Of course, they had that dead heat run race to the line in the previous race, so Alex Hall keen to close in. He missed the qualifying session, got out there for the race. And the gap still a couple of seconds between them, but Hall is catching, so Alex Hall going well here. Just done a PB, I think, 39.5. Here's Gavin Johnson, he's second. He's about that same 1 second margin behind Ian Bailey. On that lap, he was 100th of a second slower, so their lap times pretty much identical here between the top two. Good consistent running for them. Lap 15 of the race. We're coming up to a quarter's distance. 10 minutes in, so 30 to go. Through the S's they have gone, then down into 5 and 6, the hairpin. Double apex corner. A whole host of understeer there on Johnson's car. See the RS components logo there on the side pod of Johnson's Formula 2000 car. The global trading brand RS. But here is Alex Hall in 7th, continuing to catch Ted Cooper. Alex Hall then car number 64. We're right on board with him. Thanks for racing Smoky XR2s in the Classic Stock Cats Championship. More recently races a Peugeot hill climbs, a Peugeot 306 up at Harewood. Turned to circuit racing last year at Croft in the 750 Motor Cup Road Sports Series, where we shared Pip Hammond's Optimum Nova and narrowly missed out on a class win there. And he runs 7th here in this PDC Racing League round 4 of season 1. 64 Hall then comes up to complete another lap. He's still a couple of seconds behind Ted Cooper. Struggling to bring in too much more gap. But here's the now we look at third place car, Cole Jacquelet, 4 or so seconds behind the leader. So he's been able to put in some quick laps, says Jacquelet, but he hasn't quite got the consistency of the top two. The year 1 racing driver, teammates to Dan Blake, who won the earlier race. Down into turn 1 he goes. Wide swooping line to try and carry as much speed through the corner. He's 5 seconds ahead of Ian Best, so pulling away from the cars behind. It's a lap car he's seen too far behind him. Here's the second place car, Gavin Johnson trying to catch Ian Bailey. The gap's come down a couple of attempts since we last saw them. Well, they're saying that a slower exit to the corner for him has allowed Bailey just to eke it back out to 9/10 of a second as they complete lap 19 of the race. It's their fastest lap, in fact, for Ian Bailey, a 39.039, fast lap of the race then for Bailey, just to extend the gap out by a further 10 to the second place car of Gavin Johnson. Bailey didn't compete in the first event at Oldham Park, whereas Gavin Johnson did. Johnson was 5th coming into this weekend's event in the standings, and he decent first race, looking good here too, should move up pretty well. So out the chicane they come, they complete another lap. This lap Johnson looks closer, and looking at the times he is, because a really good lap there from Gavin Johnson. Fastest lap on the race, a 38.953, brings him a couple of tenths away from Ian Bailey, so it's looking pretty close between the two of them now, from the gap coming down through the S's and down towards the turn 5-6 tightening hairpin. Accelerate off of there, then into the chicane that completes the lap really quick through here. And then down towards turn 1 to complete another lap. Almost identical lap times that time by 0.08 of a second. Johnson quicker than Bailey by. So the gap was staying around 0.8 of a second, but a good run down into the S's this time for Johnson, so this bringing him back closer to Bailey. We can ride on board with him. A much tighter line for Johnson, almost a bit too tight there, almost up on the grass on the inside of the corner, but that hasn't harmed him too much with exit speed. And being able to clip the curbs a bit better, the Bailey ahead of him, so he's getting closer and closer, just half a second between the two of them, and Johnson sets the fastest, another quick lap of 39.002. He's just half a second away from the leader now. Meanwhile, we look back here at Alex Hall. He's still a couple of seconds behind Ted Cooper, so they're matching each other for lap times in 6th and 7th position. So if they were together, there'd be a really good battle between the pair of them. But it's a couple of seconds that Alex Hall's got to try and chip away at still. And on that lap, he was quicker, a couple of attempts. 39.6 for Cooper to 39.4 for Hall. So here's Cooper then, Ted Cooper, the Vauxhall Nova racer regularly. Making his way through towards the end of the lap. A damaged car here, that's Jordan Johnson. We saw his rear wing being knocked off early on. He runs in 5th. He's 5 or so seconds behind Ian Best, so a bit lonely, but we're getting closer and closer to the lead now. It is nose to tail for the race lead, so we've really got a battle on here, our hands now for the win of this race, round 4 of the league. Plenty of time still to go, 25 minutes still to go, so more time left than we had in the earlier race, which proves plenty of drama. See the suspension working there on Johnson's car. See the PDC Racing logo on the nose of Johnson's car. Work his way out of turn 1. They're into the S's now. Flicking it into the left-hander. Then through the right and down into the turn 5-6 hairpin. Again, Johnson likes to carry lots of curb through that corner. And then accelerate off down towards the chicane. And another lap is concluded, and it's a quicker lap time for Bailey. He pulls out a couple of attempts to Johnson, but Johnson's still very much there. Down towards the S's they go. Johnson in the slipstream. Carries lots of speed through this sequence of corners, so can he get himself close enough to have a challenge? Not this time into 5. Following the wheel tracks of the leader, we can ride aboard with Johnson now to see the different lines of these two. Only very minute differences between the two of them in lap times that time. It's a new best of the race for Gavin Johnson. A good lap for Bailey at 39.05, but better for Johnson, 38.97. Best lap of the race for him. For anybody come to that. So up over the curve. He's in all the road available to Gavin Johnson. He slides a bit wide there, but he recovered it for the right. Bailey turns in earlier here into 5, but then Johnson turns in tighter. Very minute differences in speed it gives them, but very much different lines into there, and that could give Johnson an overtaking opportunity. Just getting in the mirrors of Bailey there, just poking up the inside. Wasn't really trying to challenge, but making sure Bailey knew he was there, trying to distract him. And he's right now underneath the rear wing of the leader. Is he going to challenge now into the S's? He's trying to get alongside here. Couldn't quite do it, but his front wing was right underneath the rear wing on the leader. Couldn't get any closer between them. Now into 5, this is where they take different lines. Bailey turns in early and Johnson turns in late, but tighter. And can he get alongside? No, he can't. But it's a good battle between the two. So 49, that's Bailey, ahead of 9, Johnson. They turn their way through. And across the line they do come to complete lap 28 of this race, coming up towards the halfway stage. We're expecting something like 60 laps of a race here. Johnson not yet able to really get alongside the leader. It's a good battle between the two of them. Slightly different type of race to what we saw earlier. 7th position, here's Alex Hall, and he has caught Ted Cooper now. So he's been working at that 2-second gap, and he is there now. And then Jordan Johnson ahead of them may have had a mistake, and he's not that far ahead either. So 5th, 6th and 7th, not that far away. There's a lap car between Johnson and Cooper, and then Cooper's got Alex Hall on his tail. We're on board with Alex Hall now. Through the S's we come and down into 5. Cooper takes that early apex, that early line in, and later line from Hall. So we've seen these different lines from various drivers, depending on their preference, seems to have a similar outcome. So across the line they come. Johnson, Cooper and Hull. The quickest of the three on that lap was Cooper. Amongst them is actually the 8th place car, Jake Banwell, who was a lap behind them. So I think that's Banwell just ahead of Cooper. Here they come then into the S's. Meanwhile, the lead battle continues, as close as it was. Ian Bailey ahead of Gavin Johnson. So we've got oval racer ahead of circuit racer here. Out of the S's they come into 5. Sliding out of there was Gavin Johnson. And then into the hairpin through 5 and 6 they go. Just can't quite carry the momentum enough to Gavin Johnson to put on a real challenge, but he's so close. What about in the battle behind? Here's Alex Hall, 7th place then for him, still right on the tail of Ted Cooper, getting closer and closer to him. Using all the road, a bit of grass on the inside, and Cooper's gone out wide. He's crossed the grass on the outside. That's lost him grip, but he's caught a massive slide there, has Ted Cooper, but he has lost a position, I think. Alex Hall goes through into 6th, or does he? Because Cooper's almost still alongside him. Yes, he does go through. So Alex Hall into 6th. He moves ahead of Ted Cooper. Cooper put wheel out from the grass, got sideways, and slid out wide, and that allowed Alex Hall through. We're past the halfway stage. The top 2 though are still nose to tail after 20 minutes of racing. It's Ian Bailey ahead of Gavin Johnson, who looks to the outside. This is the first real challenge we've seen from Gavin Johnson. He's got alongside the leader now. They are side by side with Ian Bailey just nose to the head, but Gavin Johnson on the inside into the S's. Is he still there? No, he's not. He had to back out of it. But that was a real good challenge from Gavin Johnson. The first time we've really seen that in this race. But Ian Bailey hangs on. Meanwhile, looking back to Ted Cooper, who fell behind Alex Hall on that previous lap. He's right on board now with Cooper. The race is the John Cleland tribute livery from Nova in the Classic Stockhouse Championship. Running there in 7th position behind Alex Hall. They're coming like 3 seconds now behind Jordan Johnson's MX-5 race. Has just started to pull away from this pairing. Wonderful tighter line there used by Cooper up over the curves. See, just dipping the wheel onto the dirt. You lose a head of traction if you do that, but through there it's flat out, so it's not so much of a drama as it was when Cooper went for his big slide earlier on. Here's Cole Jacquelet, who runs in 3rd place. He's dropping away from the 2 leaders now. 7.5 seconds behind them. But he's still 6th ahead of Ian Best, who runs in 4th. 5th is Jordan Johnson, 6th Alex Hall, 7th Ted Cooper, 8th Jake Banwell, 9th is Rick Selby, and 10th for Ian Crosby. Timing screen suggesting Jordan Johnson's had an issue because he's fallen behind Alex Hall and Ted Cooper. And there he is, he's off the road. That would be why. So the rear wingless car of Jordan Johnson heading for the pit lane after a problem. So that moves Alex Hall into 5th and Ted Cooper into 6th. Looking at Rick Selby here, who is 9th, just behind Jake Banwell. Leaders together still, a quarter of a second apart. They start lap 35 of this race now, heading to the S's. Look back then from Ian Bailey's car, looking back at Gavin Johnson. Not in the same livery as his quarter 924 will this season. Passing a slower car. Lap 35 then of this race, kicking up the dirt. Is Bailey. Johnson sitting in his slipstream. Side by side here. Now the battle becomes 7th after we lost Johnson between Jake Banwell and Rick Selby. We're looking at Selby there. He tries to get alongside Banwell. Here he comes up the inside into 5 and 6. Was there a touch there? Either way, out wide goes Banwell and through goes Rick Selby. So Selby goes 7th ahead of oval racer Jake Banwell. And he really slid out wide and lost time. So Rick Selby into a comfortable 7th position. Here's Gary Bailey, who's running in 10th position as he makes his way through the S's. Super Stock champion in the past, Gary Bailey, over at Swaffham Raceway. And he runs in 10th here, 20 or so seconds behind Ian Crosby. And he's coming into the pit lane, so an issue, it would seem, for Gary Bailey. We look now at Alex Hall, who is in 5th place, pulling away from Ted Cooper. But he's something like 18 seconds behind Ian Best, so progress to make for Alex Hall if he's going to gain any more positions. But remember, he's starting from the back after missing qualifying, so it's been a good run for him. Here's Ian Best, who he's trying to chase. Best in 4th, 17 seconds up the road. Here he comes into turn 1. That lap for him was a 39.4, which was a 10th quicker than Cole Jackalette ahead of him. He's 5 seconds behind. We've still a quarter of an hour of the race to go, still 15 minutes to go. So Best has time to work out that 5-second gap, flinging his car. They're out of the chicane to complete another lap. That was a decent lap, a 39.4. Ahead of him is Cole Jackalette, who runs in 3rd position in the Year 1 racing car. Teammates to Dan Blake, race 1 winner. 39.4 for him, a few hundreds quicker than Ian Best, who is chasing him. Through the S's he turns. His 2nd place driver, Gavin Johnson, now, he, since we last looked at him, has lost time to the leader. He's a couple of seconds behind Ian Bailey. He's just lapped the car on Jake Banwell. Banwell trying to fight back though. He's a lap down though, so doesn't want to fight too hard to pass Johnson's car. Gavin Johnson very much main player in the PDC Racing team. Part of setting up this league with Gavin, and he was keen to set up the league to give further awareness to the science, technology, engineering and maths project that they're trying to get young people to get involved with learning about in PDC racing. Very keen to let young engineers work with the racers within their team. Here's Ian Crosby, who's in 9th. Hill climb racer. 5 seconds behind Jake Banwell. That's a gap to monitor. And through the S's he turns on another lap. Now we lost Alex Hall. The screen suggested Alex Hall's in the pit lane. So after that good run for him up to 5th, that means he's dropping back. And Ed Cooper comes to 5th, and there we see the damaged car of Alex Hall. He's lost his front wing, he's lost his rear wing. He's made a right old mess of that car. Skip Barber Formula 2000 cars, these. Just over half a tonne. Tubular space frame chassis. 150 brake horsepower cylinder Dodge engine. Sequential box. Cars can reach something like 135 miles per hour, go 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. A learning car. This is within the Skip Barber Racing School. Skip Barber, former Formula 1 driver, Formula 5000 racer in the 70s, and has set up this race school in the late 70s and has produced many American race driver. Here's the race leader then, Ian Bailey. Traffic, leading by 2.5 seconds. We're right on board with him. Up the inside he looks on 6th, car number 16, I think that was. Would be Ted Cooper. So he laps the 5th place car now, so just 4 cars on the lead lap. With 12 minutes of this race to go. So into turn 1 here for the leader. Accelerating out, turn 1 up towards the S's, 2, 3 and 4 coming up, absolutely flat out for him. Quite a short line the corner as much as possible, using all the curves, and more in some situations. Now 5, this is where we see Bailey take a really early entry into this corner, compared to some of his rivals. It's a good tight line out of it. through the chicane, up over the dirt on the inside of the corner, using all the road and more so as he comes up off the line. And that lap time for Ian Bailey was a 39.158 that we rode on board with. And that was a few hundred slower than Gavin Johnson, but he's still a couple of seconds ahead. Look at the screens, a good lap from Ian Crosby, who we now look at, a 38.9, fastest lap of the race from his 8th place car. Despite damaged rear wing, pushing on. He's only a couple of seconds behind Jake Banwell, so Crosby could make progress here. They've both passed Alex Hall's car from the pit lane. Ian repaired after damage. So Crosby, rear wing will be giving him different aerodynamics now with it pointing forwards. And up across the line he comes. It was 39.9 for Banwell. Crosby was a half a second quicker. So at that rate, in 3 laps, he'll be right with him. 1.5 seconds between them. Here is Banwell then, in 7th position. The banger racer, Jake Banwell, being chased by Ian Crosby, the hill climber, up at Harewood. Look back then from Banwell's car at Crosby to the chicane that completes the lap here on the infield at Texas Motor Speedway, and a quicker lap it is again for Crosby. What was a 1.5 seconds has pretty much been halved, because 0.8 of a second quicker that lap was Crosby. So Jake Banwell's lap time slower than the car that he's being chased by, Ian Crosby. So a challenge should be on shortly. He's turning away into the exit. On board we then look from Ian Crosby's car down into 5. He's going to look up the inside here, and is he going to be able to make it work? No, he had to back out of it, but running out wide there, Banwell slides out wide and trying to get up alongside him is Crosby. Can't quite do it now, sitting right under the gearbox of car 39. Banwell gets a better run through here. They're going to touch, and they do. And Crosby just had to breathe out the throttle to avoid further contact, but he's later on the brakes into turn 1, looking to the outside of Banwell. Can't do it there though. So Banwell's putting up pretty good defence here on a car that is much quicker than him. In the hands of Ian Crosby, trying to get him alongside into the exit, again unable to find a way through, but a better line being taken by Crosby means he can now look at the inside into turn 5. Surely this will be enough. Banwell brakes late, he disappears off into the distance, so that was certainly too late on the brakes for Jake Banwell. He gets to get back on again, but loses a lot of time, and Ian Crosby goes through. It was committed on the brakes for Banwell, but rather too much so, and off the road he went. Here's Ian Bailey then, the race leader. He continues to pull out a margin from Gavin Johnson. The gap now over 3 seconds for Ian Bailey. Third is Cole Jacklett, 4th Ian Best, 5th is Ted Cooper, and 6th Rick Selby. No real battles now to talk of as we come into the final quarter of this race. A race of attrition it has been. Ian Bailey, though, has been consistent throughout it, very much an important factor in endurance racing, as this race has been a 40-minute stint, very long time to be driving a car like this on a very compact circuit as this is. No real respite around here, so full focus needed. That was Gavin Johnson on the grass heading through the SSC lap to slower car. That Ted Cooper that he's lapped, Cooper there in 5th. Gavin Johnson, who started circuit racing in the Classic Stock Cats Championship, part of the Skywheels racing team. Very much remembering Ryan Lowry, who we sadly lost last month, and we're very much remembering him, and logos on Gavin's car here and throughout the Porsche, on his Porsche 94 in the 73 Sports Championship, as we remember Ryan Lowry, who was a big factor into getting Gavin into racing at the beginning of the decade. And Johnson went on to great success in the Porsche 94 Championship, winning that a couple of years ago. Here in 3rd place is Cole Jacklett, who is now nearly 9 seconds behind Gavin Johnson. In the Year 1 racing team car. Teammate Dan Blake won the earlier race. And we look back now to 4th place. This is Ian Best, car number 13. set to make his circuit racing debut this season. Got a bit of lap traffic to deal with. He's 7 seconds behind Jackalette. Very clear of Ted Cooper behind him, well over half a lap ahead of Ted Cooper. Riding on board, trying to get past the traffic safely. We head into the final stages of this race. The traffic is in touch of Jake Banwell, who we saw outbrake himself a few laps ago. We look into turn 1, and Ian Best should go through. And he does. So, 4th place it is, car number 13, Ian Best. Into the S's. His 5th place car, that's car number 16, Ted Cooper. Finished 3rd in the Classic Stock Cats Championship last season. Got a maiden pole position at Snetterton at the end of the year in the wet. Race didn't quite go to plan for him though. A moment on the first lap really lost him the chance of winning that race, but had lots of pace in the wet at Snetterton, did Ted Cooper. Very much a consistent front runner in that championship. Here is 6th place car, that is Rick Selby. Rick Selby, who's not had actually any racing experience, but looking for a good result here today in 6th place. We head into the final 5 minutes of this race. Here's P7, that's Ian Crosby. Crosby, the hill climb racer, hill climbed up at Harewood with Alex Hall, who's also racing here today. Crosby 11 seconds behind Selby and a similar gap back to Banwell, so nobody directly to race with for him. And here is Banwell, who is holding on to the back of Ian Best, who lapped him a few moments ago. Always easier to follow and try and pick up some pace. In these long races, there's plenty you can learn from following quicker cars, but potentially not if they run out wide, as Ian Best really did there. Through the chicane there to complete the lap, and across the line they come. Here is Alex Hall, who runs in 9th. Car number 64, the former Classic Stock Cats racer. And but nowadays races at Harewood Hill Climb, but did compete in the 750 Red Club Road Sport Series and nearly got a win in class at Croft last season. Read all about that near victory in the 750 Red Club yearbook, which is will be available at events during the course of the year. A full guide through how the 2019 racing season went. Over the grass here, that's a 10th place car. Gary Bailey almost comes into contact with Gavin Johnson, who's in 2nd. Johnson had a massive moment, managed to save it under braking there for the hairpin. Both of them were sort of having moments trying to avoid each other. They did so. Johnson 2nd, 10th is Bailey, very much on different laps, but together on the circuit here. Gary Bailey, the former champion of Super Stocks at Swaffham Raceway. Right on board with Bailey now then. Into the S's we turn, following P2 man Gavin Johnson. A couple of minutes to go, so 3 or 4 laps still in this race. I think we've lost Paul Warren, Jordan Johnson and Cole Hazelton from the race. Pip Hamilton we lost early on, looks to be back out there. So we'll have a look. We'll have a look at Pip as well before the race is over. See if he's getting to grips with the sim racing business. Here's Ted Cooper then, he's 5th. He's just behind Gary Bailey on the road, trying to put him a lap down. And Bailey bails out there and allows Cooper through. Car close to the back of Cooper though, appears to have plenty of speed. Here's Pip Hammondon, who we mentioned a few moments ago. So he's back out there after a long car repair and getting to grips with this car. Down into turn 1 for Pip Hammond. We head into the final minute of racing for this evening. Car number 71, Pip Hammond, using the same livery as we have got used to on his Vauxhall Nova that he took to two championship wins back in 2009 and 2011. He's got a new car out now, which he's won a number of times in, including at Cadwell Park last year. Meanwhile, on to the final moments of the race for the leader, Ian Bailey, 5 seconds ahead of the rest. Into the S's, I think this should be then the final lap of the race for car number 49, the Brisker Formula 2 stock car racer, Ian Bailey, about to win round 4 of the PDC Racing League here at Texas Motor Speedway on the infield road course. So car number 49 will take the checkered flag and take the second win of the day here at Texas. And it is a victory then for Ian Bailey. Second place will go to Gavin Johnson. He's crossed the line now. In third position should be Cole Jackalette, and fourth Ian Best. It was those 4 that finished on the lead lap. Fifth place across the line already has come Ted Cooper. Sixth for Rick Selby. Seventh for Ian Crosby. Eighth and ninth still running Jake Banwell and Alex Hall. The only other car still going is Pip Hammond, but he completed less laps than some of drivers who have retired. So let's take a look at the results then of round 4 of the PDC Racing League. It was Ian Bailey that won by 5 seconds over Gavin Johnson. Third was Cole Jackalette. Fourth was Ian Best. Fifth for Ted Cooper. Sixth for Rick Selby. Seventh Ian Crosby. In eighth was Jake Banwell. 9th Alex Hall, 10th was Gary Bailey, 11th Paul Warren, 12th Jordan Johnson, 3rd Cole Hazelton, and 14th Pip Hammond. So that concludes the action here from the PDC Racing League at the Texas Motor Speedway. More events coming in the PDC Racing League. Next Friday we'll be at Silverstone, Lime Rock Park, and Donington Park will conclude the season in a few weeks' time.